Hey, Coletta.
Hey, Holly, how are you?
I'm good. Sorry, let me stop that music. Um, mm, let me clear my throat there. Oh my gosh, it's so good to meet you.
You as well. You as well. I think I've been here every night except I think I missed the second day because I fell asleep. But I've been here. I've been quietly lurking in the background.
Oh man. Yeah, and the second day was less about crafting, more about wool. So, yeah. I thought it was an interesting conversation, but it was less about fiber arts and more just about fiber. So, yeah. And we have Sydney here too as the moderator. Sydney, I don't know if you want to say hi or if you're here you are. Hey.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Good, you?
I'm well, thank you.
So yeah, we are live. Welcome everybody. Um Sydney, I need to add you as a moderator, don't I?
Nope, I'm good. I have the little wrench beside me. So,
Okay, good. So it just carried over from yesterday. Awesome. Okay. Well then, I think Coletta, let's just go ahead and I will ask you because I'm curious. And when Davita pops in, then I know she'll take it away because she already knows you.
Yeah.
But I guess first of all, like, how did you and Davita meet?
Oddly enough, we've been following one another on Instagram for a while. And one day she pops into my inbox and she
Right.
says, "Hey, would you like to interview with me for Furls?" And I was like, "Girl, yeah, I'm sure. Why not? No big deal." And we had a really great interview, and we've just been really, really good friends ever since. She's a great person. I love her personality. She's so bubbly.
Hmm. Well, speak of the devil, here she is. So, hey, Davita. I know you're here. Just there you are.
oh, is that my
How are
friend?
you?
See,
Hi, friend.
I'm so
How
excited.
are you?
I am hanging in there.
Yeah. You still tired from your birthday shenanigans?
Girl, way too much going on. Didn't even accessorize tonight. I got nothing happening, but I'm just happy to be here.
You look fresh and clean. So that's awesome.
It's just an illusion.
Oh, okay. I know that one all too well.
It is just an illusion. Hello, good evening, everybody. Hope that everyone is doing extremely well on this fabulous Friday. Mrs. DeVita is exhausted.
I can imagine. But did you enjoy your birthday?
I did enjoy my birthday. I wore my crown all day long.
Did somebody pin money on you though?
Nobody pinned money on me. That's a problem.
It's a problem. Like if you don't get money pinned on you, was it really your birthday?
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have to figure something out this weekend. Find somebody with a safety
Or
pin and some monies to put on.
did you at least get cash apps for your birthday? Like a virtual pin?
I did.
Okay, well that counts.
I did get a cash app, so I'm happy about that. You introduce yourself. I'm jumping right on in, late to the party as usual, but just ready to turn up because I'm here now.
Oh, introductions.
Tell the people who you are, my dear.
I am Coletta Peterson, the face and hands behind A Touch of Blu Designs, where my primary focus is making Black and brown dolls for Black and brown girls and boys and the occasional adult. I also make I also am a doll pattern designer.
Yes.
I always forget to throw that in there.
First of all, Coletta is amazing. That's first of all.
Thank you.
I told Holly, when she asked me, and I said this last night, but I told her, when she asked me about people to interview, I said, it's really important to me that the world knows that there are so many makers of color out there. And now is the time for us to really embrace all the amazing things that these makers are doing. So yesterday we had Diego on, who is an LGBTQ plus creator.
That cape was amazing.
Did you see the back of his cape?
I missed it on the live, but I went to his page after we were done because he did this little spin and I was like, oh, I could never. It's gorgeous. His work is beautiful.
Absolutely amazing. And I share with Holly how important it is for me to elevate these voices, right? Now, let me tell you, Coletta, I have been on these lives and I have learned so much about wool. I never knew half the things that I learned from Monday and Tuesday and yesterday about wool and the process and what goes into creating, the elements that we're using to crochet and knit with. I am just floored by it. So I was really happy to be a part of those conversations, but I also wanted to make sure that I was, like I said, elevating the voices. And, for me, it's always going to be crochet first because I'm a crocheter. But I really think it's so important to elevate the voices of crocheters and to share our stories. So, okay, that's enough of me. You talk now. Share your story. Tell the people what you do, why you do it, when you started, and I want you to tell them about the Detroit Doll Show.
Yes. Okay. Listening on Monday, I was lurking. I don't know if you even knew that. I was in here, I was lurking and listening. And I will tell you, when Holly asked about me, you not knowing that I was here and the way you spoke about me, it made me it just filled me with so much joy. Like, you don't really know what people are saying when you're not in the room. And to actually witness that, it really made my heart so happy. It really made me so happy because as makers, especially as makers of color, we tend to doubt ourselves, regardless of how amazingly dope we know we are. There's always that little piece of us that always questioned, if we have a place within the fiber community. So I want to thank you for that. That really touched me.
Listen here, won't you be over there shedding no tears and then you're gonna make me start crying? Because Holly was wiping tears yesterday. I was like, is she really doing this to me right now? I'm gonna start crying. It don't take much for me to cry. So Diego was telling his story and she steady wiped. Really, ma'am? Can we not cry? Because I'm gonna start crying and look a fool. And then that'll be the image that YouTube takes. It'll be the image where I'm looking all kind of crazy.
Right. Because you know that it never pauses on the best image. When your screen freezes, your face is all twisted up and you look crazy. I get it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm quiet.
But you and I have very similar crochet beast origin stories. I was working a job. I used to work for the government. Loved the job. Loved the money. Hated the hours. And so I'm working this job, loving the people I work with, but it was keeping me away from home. And at one point, my youngest, who I believe was maybe 8 at the time, actually says to me, "Mommy, I want you to quit your job. I miss you being at home." Mind you, I'd been a stay-at-home mom since they were born, and I didn't start looking for a job until the youngest started kindergarten. And so they were so accustomed to me being home. And so when I'm out and about and I'm working this job, and she's like, "Yeah, Mommy, I need you back home. I miss you being home. It's not the same. It's weird." And so I'm going on about my business, loving the job. And I had an agreement with my supervisor, my direct reporting supervisor, that I would be able to leave to pick up my girls from school, make sure they were back home, come back in, do what I needed to do, and go home for the day. That was our agreement. So that was the agreement for about 3 years. But this entire time, it's just draining. This job is draining. Health issues are coming up, and I'm just tired. And slowly but surely, whispers started. I've been here for years. I'm safe. I'm secure. I get that little that feeling inside, like you should probably start clearing off your desk. And slowly but surely, I started clearing my desk at work. And everybody would stop by my desk and was like, "Where's the candy bowl? You always have candy. Where's your candy?" "Well, I didn't bring candy this week." "Well, you stopped bringing flowers. Why aren't you bringing your flowers to your desk? Why is your desk so empty?" And one morning I'm driving to work and I just get this feeling like I'm not staying all day. So I get to work, I log into the system, checking everything, and I immediately start delegating my tasks that I would normally do to other people in my department. Like, "Here, you do this, you do this." Mind you, at that time, I was rewriting the SOP for my department. I was the only one who had access to this stuff. And so I'm like, well, y'all just gonna be stuck because I'm the only one who's got access to this. And so my supervisor comes in, she does that little, and I'm thinking, okay, it's time. So I go into this meeting, all of the head honchos are there. And they're like, "We're sorry, we've got layoffs coming in. I've got a live check for you for the end of the week, and here's your severance package." And in my head, I'm just like, I'm kind of relieved, but also I'm pissed. Like, how could you do this? How could you do this? Like, this is ridiculous. I'm angry. And so I don't show it because, at work, we can't show that we're angry. So I sign the severance package, go to my desk, gather the little things that I have, and I leave. And I get in the car and I sit in my car and I'm fuming. I'm so mad. And what do? I drive to Michael's. I drive to Michael's and walk up and down the craft aisle because I need to do something. And so I'm just like, I don't want to do any beadwork. I don't feel like painting. Oh, this yarn is pretty. I have no idea what I'm doing. Let me grab this yarn. Pick up this yarn, grab a hook. No idea what to do with either of these. I just put them in the cart and I check out and I go home. And it hits me like you don't have to be at anybody's desk in the morning. You've got all this free time. You can hang out with the girls. They can love on you. And that was great for like a month. And then it's just like, girl, you don't have a job. What are you going to do with yourself? And so I'm having this pity party for one. Like, oh, woe is me. What am I going to do? The sector that I worked in for HUD was very specific. And so I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be so hard to find another job in this niche. And one day my sorority sister calls me and she goes, "Girl, are you done pouting? Because I'm not having this. Are you finished?" And I was like, "Well, what are you talking about?" She goes, "You've pouted for a month. You have all these talents. Please find something to do with all of these God-given talents you have. Monetize one of them." I love to bake. Baking is my jam. Like if my mother would have approved of it, I would have gone to culinary school, but my mama wasn't having it. I love to bake though. And so she was like, "Oh, you should bake." So I started baking. My husband was taking desserts to his job and people were like, "Oh my God, this is amazing. Can she bake me a cake? Can she do this? Can she do this?" And so that was fine for a while. And then an ex-coworker called and she was like, "Hey, I'm having a baby. Do you think at some point you can make me something?" I was like, "Girl, I don't know. I don't know how to make a doll. I don't know how to make a towel. I don't know how to make a chain. I know nothing about this hook and this yarn that I picked up." And so I'm looking on YouTube, trying to figure it out. But the issue is I'm a lefty. And everything that I've seen is for right-handed people. So I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try. Like I could chain my butt off. But trying to create a swatch or a square. I was dropping stitches. It started out good and it ended up as a rhombus. It was a mess. It was a hot mess. And so I sat it down, ended up finding a seasonal job at Michael's. And the girl there was like, oh, well, you should just do everything backwards, just flip it. And then it just clicked. And so I made a bunch of towels for the house, made some hats, some scarves. And my kids were like, Mama, if you make one more towel, please just find something else to make. And so around this time, I'd been seeing all these dolls. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. And so I saw Yolanda's doll, Yolanda and Nico, and I was like, oh, brown ladies, who are they? They make dolls. But I never spoke to them because, in my head, they don't know me. I don't know them. So I would just watch them. And then I went to the bookstore and I found a book. It was a crochet doll book. And was like, I'm going to try this. I think I got the basics. I can make a circle. I can make a ball. And I can make a doll. So in my head, I'm thinking, oh, it's easy. The book was written in UK terms. I didn't know the book was written in UK terms. And so I made this doll, who I still have, that I affectionately call Baldhead Betty. And it was a mess, but I was so proud of this doll. Hold on.
You have
Betty,
to show her.
I will show you Baldhead Betty. Mind you, Betty's arms and legs are tubes, which is why you will never see me make a doll with tube limbs ever. Okay? It's Betty's fault. Her arms are her legs, and her legs are supposed to be her arms. Do you see how long her arm is compared to her leg? Like, her neck has zero support. Her body is made of complete, like, all double crochets because I knew absolutely nothing. And I probably posted this doll on Facebook and was like, look at what I made. And of course, my friends being my friends were like, girl, that's amazing. You did a really good job. And I'm like, yeah, I did. It's so awesome. Y'all want to buy a doll? Knowing good and well, I wish somebody would have pulled me to the side and was like, listen, I really need, like, her scalp is two different pieces because I didn't understand how to decrease. So I made the top of her head and then I joined it.
You never told me that one. Oh.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And when I tell you she's a mess. She is an absolute
I did
mess.
not know that part.
Listen, Davida. Betty is a mess. Betty is a mess. She sits in my craft room as a very gentle reminder of where I started.
Yes.
And I tend to pick her up every so often. And she's just, I've had to borrow some hair. So she's like, she's a mess. I loved her though. And once I finally got the hang of it, introduced myself to Yolanda, introduced myself to Aniqua, and just started picking up on the things that they were saying during, this was pre Instagram Live, on Periscope. They used to have lives on Periscope, and I would just, excuse me, I would eat up everything they would say, write stuff down, like, oh, that's a good idea. Oh, I'll try this. Oh, that's great. And just to watch the progress, like, you never really realize how far you've come until you see pictures. Mm-hmm. And in my head, I was like, oh, you're not really, your dolls still look the same. In my head, they still look like Betty. But when I see pictures, when I would see pictures, they were completely different. And I was like, oh, we're making progress. I don't know what happened. Maybe 3 years after I started really paying attention to Aniqua and Yolanda, and after I made my first doll and started to see improvement, something inside me was like, you should write a pattern. And I was like, nope, not doing that. And someone had ordered a doll. and I couldn't find anyone else's pattern that would fit the shape that they wanted. So I'm making this doll, basically freehanding it. And by the time it was done, I was like, oh, I can turn this into a pattern. Because I haven't seen anybody else's body that looks like this. Let me try this again, because I don't write stuff down, which is horrible. I know. I never write anything down. Like if I'm freehanding stuff, I don't write things down, and it always comes back to bite me in the butt. And so I ended up frogging it and trying it again, and I could actually duplicate what I did. So I was like, oh, new pattern. I'll put it out and just test the waters and see. And people loved it. And I was like, oh, maybe I do know what I'm doing. And so that's kind of where we are. I've written, I want to say 7 patterns, 6 patterns. I don't know. Don't give me the lying. Maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8. I don't know. There's a collaborative pattern that I did with another maker as well. So we can count that one too.
Yes, we can count that one. I still got to get the pajamas for that one. I only have the doll. Like, I need to get the pajamas so the doll can have some clothes on.
Yeah. Don't worry though. I have plenty of little half-naked babies in my craft room too. So I feel you. I feel you. Just wandering around just like little toddlers in potty training.
I absolutely love it. How did you decide that you wanted to go full scale and do the Detroit Doll Show? Like, you have to talk about that.
Oh, okay. So the Detroit Doll Show, I knew nothing about. Mind you, I've lived in Michigan for 20 plus years. I've never heard of the Detroit Doll Show until Aniqua was on live one day, and she was like, yeah, I'm going to be at the Detroit Doll. Detroit Doll. Never heard of Detroit Doll. And so another maker and she calls me and she says, hey, I'm going. You want to tag along? Yeah, sure. And I called Aniqua and I was like, hey, I'm going to meet you at the doll show. She was like, oh, that's great. And so I get there and there are all these dolls and I'm like, I don't see any fiber dolls. Like no fiber artists were there. It was vintage Cabbage Patch dolls, vintage Barbies, lots of vintage Barbies, reborn dolls. And I see Aniqua and Tammy B Creations and Cute Little Crumb Snatchers. And they were kind of all in like the same semicircle. And I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like we can come here, because in my head I'm thinking doll collectors, they want porcelain dolls, they want Barbies, like Christmas Barbies, and reborn dolls, which I'd seen before, but I hadn't seen in person. And every year now at the show, I play a game called Is That Baby Real? Because if you've never seen a reborn doll in person,
yeah,
it's creepy.
It's creepy.
Yeah,
it's creepy.
Very, very. And so I watch Aniqua work her magic and watch Tammy and Vonda work their magic. And I'm like, maybe one day we'll add this to our bucket list of things we want to do. Because I still very much felt like a newbie. Like I'm not ready to run with the big dogs just yet. And so that was 2017. Had to be about 2016 or 2017. And I decided I wasn't going to apply in 2018. It was 17. Didn't want to apply in 2018 because I had a spot at the artist market here where I was vending my dolls. And so I missed that. And then the following year, it just nagged me so much so that I woke up in the middle of the night. It was like 3 a.m. and something was like, apply for the doll show. So I woke up and literally blurry-eyed, sitting on my laptop like, send this in. And I rolled over and went back to sleep. Didn't really think anything of it. 5 hours later, I get an email from Sandra Epps, the director, and she was like, congratulations, you're now a vendor. And I was like, oh snap, this is happening.
Wow.
And instantly panic kind of set in. Just because it's such a large show. It's one of the, if not the largest, Black doll show in the country.
Wow.
And I don't think people really realize how big it is. I think the year I've ended in 2019, and I didn't really realize how big of an undertaking it was, because I started helping her since I was local. I started helping her with promo. And so we did a segment of for Detroit Public Television. We were doing flyers and just news spots, and it was really overwhelming because in my head, from the outside looking in, it's just like, oh, she's set up this doll show. Just show up at the venue, set your table up, make some sales, go home happy. No.
Mm.
I think I signed up for the show in March. The show is in November. Between March and November, I had a complete freak out, like, oh my God, what am I doing? Did I make the right decision? How many dolls do I need to take? Like, my best friend lives in the UK. She lives in Wolverhampton. And I was like, I need you. I'm freaking out. I don't know what to do. I should have did this. I'm not going to do it. I'm dropping out. And so she literally got on Instagram and found Yemi Crafts, Tanisha, and she was like, get this girl together. I can't. I'm so many hours away. I can't just hop on a plane and, give her a good shake. Please help her. So Tanisha calls me and she was just like, girl, are you okay? I'm coming up from North Carolina. I was like, you don't have to do that. I'm fine. I can handle this show on my own, because Coletta does not ask for help.
Oh boy.
And I can do this on my own. And she was like, yeah, no, I'm coming. And so she comes up, she calls me, she goes, well, let's break this down. How many dolls do you have? What do you have? And in my head, because I have ADHD, everything is
Oh no, you're breaking up, Coletta.
Am I?
Yeah.
What was the last thing you heard?
I don't know. I think he was gonna say something about having ADHD and everything being big, but we didn't get it.
That was it.
Okay.
That was it.
Okay.
And so we set up for the show. Is it better?
Yeah.
Okay. So we set up for the show. We get there. I'm one of 50 vendors that year.
Wow.
And I'm the only fiber artist. And so I'm like, oh, that's different, because I'm so used to there being another fiber artist. Like, nobody else decided to do the show that year. And so I'm thinking, oh, maybe I'll make 1 or 2 sales, because everybody was interested in reborn dolls and Cabbage Patch and vintage dolls and American Girls. No, I sold out of half of my table. The show started at 11, ended at 6. I think by 1 o'clock, half of my inventory was gone.
How many dolls did you bring?
I took 20 dolls. I came home with 6 and
Wow.
4 custom orders.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. For those who are watching, who, go to craft shows and things like that, it's that long walk home that's always so discouraging, right? When you're like, man, I got to take all this stuff back with me. So when you're able to, really sell that well, congratulations.
And it's in I think what really shocked me is that nobody tried to haggle me over my prices.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody looked at this doll that was $200 and said, why is this a $200 doll? They were like, oh, okay, I want this.
Because you're in the right place with the right people, the people who get it. And I'm sure, those who are spinning yarn and selling yarn and hand dyeing yarn and all of that, when the people who get it when the people who know the process, that's how they say it in Canada, the process of creating the yarn, they're not gonna scoff at the prices. They're gonna be like, oh, that's it. Okay, I'll take it. It's a whole different mindset when you have the right audience. It's a whole different mindset, and I love that for you. I love that for you. I really do. Yeah. Super exciting.
And
so tell us about this year. What's the plan for this year?
This year I may have gone a little overboard. Is next week.
Yes.
I have literally 3 more dolls to add shoes to before I can actually say I am done with prep. I've never worked this close to a deadline, ever, ever. Wow. Like my whiteboard in my craft room is full of the things that I still need to do, but it's like little nitpicky things. Go pick up bags, make sure you've got your tags, put all your chargers, your business cards, that stuff. But in terms of making, I've never gone to the wire like this. And my brain is still like, hey, we should do this. No, I'm kind of done.
How many dolls are you taking this year?
I haven't counted. I have 3 Rubbermaid bins of dolls. I have 3 bins of dolls. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I wish I lived in Detroit to just, experience this. I wish I lived in Canada. I wish I lived in Detroit. I just want to be everywhere.
I do. We are very close to the Ambassador Bridge. So pre-COVID, we would go into Windsor all the time, so much so that we contemplated moving to Ontario. We were like, we should move to Canada. And then COVID was like, pump your brakes. You can't come over here. You just can't come over here when you want to come over here. Are you crazy? No. But I do like Canada. I do like Canada a lot. But the show, I'm really looking forward to it. I think more so than being back, because it was canceled in 2020 because of COVID. In 21, it was canceled again because of COVID, because Michiganders don't know how to sit down and follow rules. And so it was canceled. And I'm really looking forward to coming back, not only for the show, but I've gotten, Tanisha's coming back up from North Carolina. Favorite Brits is coming out from Chicago. Cat's Crochet is coming up from North Carolina just to support me. And it feels really good to know that I've got, these maker friends who are like, girl, you got this. We're coming to see you. Yes. And so I'm just like, oh, it's amazing. I won't be, fingers crossed, the only fiber artist there this year. And so it's kind of like a Black doll maker celebration. Wow. And I'm really, really looking forward to just sitting down, in 2019, after the show, we all got together and we went to dinner and ha-ha and kikied for hours. And it was the best time. And so I'm really looking forward to just being able to be amongst people that I've built this relationship, this virtual relationship with, face to face.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Oh.
That's so cool. And I'm sure, Holly, and all the folks who are going to be coming out to the festival next weekend have that same anticipation. To be in the room with people just makes such a huge difference, right? You can really learn from each other and see, touch, and feel, and you know what I mean? Like, I want to one of your dolls so bad, because I'm like, I feel like I don't pack my dolls enough, because their dolls are so stable, they not moving, but mine's still a little wiggly. Like, I want to touch and feel your dolls and really just, that one-on-one and personal interaction. I didn't realize how much I missed it and needed it until we had the pandemic. And now it's just like, whenever I have an opportunity to really get in front of a person and be in their space, I'm all for it. So I'm excited for you.
I'm really excited. I mean, and it's weird because I'm very much an introvert. My youngest likes to say, Mama, you don't even like people like that. I have a people meter, And I know at the end of the day, at the end of the doll show, it's going to be absolutely depleted, but I'm going to feel amazing.
Yes.
And it's just, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it.
So cool. And now tell me, I always see you post about your orders being open and your orders being closed and, explain that whole process for me, because I think it's very intriguing to me.
I this year have decided, normally my customs are always open. I try to work on at least 3 customs at a time. It's easier for me to kind of batch things in groups of whatever. 3 is apparently my number. Anything more than that, and it's just not going to get done in a timely fashion. But when I find that I'm overwhelmed, I'll close them. My turnaround time is roughly 8 weeks, even though I can absolutely have an entire doll done within a week. Just, I have to give myself that leeway because life happens. I've got kids, car issues, shipment issues. Last year I got really sick, so I didn't do customs a lot at all because I was in and out of the hospital. So it just really depends. When the window's open is however life kind of dictates, but I try to take at least 3 custom orders every quarter. So I'll open customs in January, and once those 3 spots are closed, then they're closed. Then the window closes until the next quarter.
I like that.
And then during, like now for the show prep, I closed the window in July. Like that's it, because I needed to focus. I don't focus. I have ADHD. I don't focus well, and I know that. I knew that this was like it. I needed to have my stuff together for the show, and in my head I planned like a bunch of stuff that I wanted to do, and I was going to be done with prep in October so I could open up my customs. October knocked on the door. I was like, "Hey, girl, what you working on? You still working on dolls? Well, these people want orders. You gonna open up your customs because you're kind of busy over there." My brain was like, "No, we're not. We are not.
We can't do it. We can't do it."
And I ended up getting 1 custom order from a family friend. He called and he was like, "I know you're real busy. Can I get a doll for Christmas?" And I was like, "Only because it's you. Only because it's you." Because certain people, like I have really good friends who have been supportive from day one. If they were to call and say, "Hey, Coletta, I know your customs are closed, but what do you need? How soon do you need this?" But I very rarely make exceptions for anybody. Very rarely. Like if my mama were to call me right now, I would have to tell my mama, "No, I can't make you anything." And my mama's real good to call me and say, "Hey, I saw this scarf. Can you make me this scarf?" Mama, first off, that's knit, and I don't knit. And secondly, you have like 8,000 scarves in your closet. Why do you need another one? Well, this one is pretty, but it's black. You want me to?
Oh, definitely not black.
Black. Everything my mother shows me. Can you make that in black? No.
Ma, they ran all out of the black yarn. I'm sorry. I can't do it.
Yes. She's real quick to say, "Hey, I saw this really cute. Can you make this in black?" No, I cannot. Black yarn is the bane of my existence. I hate black yarn. Like I use it so much, but I can only work with it in the daylight. It has to be natural light outside, windows wide open. Otherwise, these 44-year-old eyes are like, "Girl, I can't see that stitch. Where does that go?" It'll be all bad. It will be all bad.
I'm right there with you. Right there with you. Now, you said you have daughters. Are your children interested in crocheting at all?
I tried.
I got the same situation, girl. Same situation. You too, Holly? They're not interested.
Holly tried. But my oldest now is kind of trying, but only because she wants to make clothes, and she's real quick to come into my craft room and stare at my stash and like, "You don't use that yarn. Can I have that yarn? You got a hook I can use?" For what? Well, I saw this shirt that I want to make. Why? It was cute. Can I have this yarn? You cannot have that yarn. Like the bestie dyes yarn. And so she'll send me yarn, and Mackenzie will, my oldest, she'll pick it up and she'll be like, oh, Miss Rachel sent you this. I like this, ma'am. If you don't put that merino down, you cannot. I'm not even using that. You better put that back in my stash. It's there to look pretty, not to be used. Okay, thank you.
I think we all have that yarn. Like, this is just a pretty yarn. It just sits there. It looks pretty. Don't touch it.
Like, I won some yarn from Adela, and it came in the mail, and I was like, ooh, Lola Bean yarn. My brain is like, but girl, what are you about to do with this? Not a single thing. Nothing. Look at it. It's pretty. It's soft. It smells very nice. It's going on my board. I'm not using this yarn at all. Not at all. And my mom, bless her heart, she's so sweet. She's like, she'll call and she'll say, hey, I found this yarn. It's alpaca. Can you use it for a doll? Mama, if I make this doll with alpaca, nobody's going to buy it. She's like, well, why can't you use it? Ma, I use acrylic yarn for a reason. Well, I'm just saying it's really, really pretty. I'm sure it is.
But not for dolls.
A yarn on
Oh my goodness.
She's trying.
Poor thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. So what's on your schedule for after the show? Like, what are you working towards for next year?
Next year, I've got a few very quiet wheels turning in the background with our friends over at that particular place. We're working on some things. I can't even mention that. I've got a few things in the works. Like, I'm very suspicious in ways. Like, sometimes I feel like if I say too much, the universe is going to say, you know what, you talk too much. We're not going to do that now. So sometimes I just have to, but I've got some things in the works. Immediately after the doll show, I tend to take all of December off and part of January. The only time I broke that rule was in 2020. I don't know if you knew that. In 2020, like maybe shortly after Christmas, I get an email in my Etsy. Hey, I'm so-and-so with Nickelodeon. I've been watching your page. And I'm like, okay, lady, whatever. You're messaging me on Etsy. This is clearly a phishing email. I don't have time for this. So I'm like, I read it, kind of ignored it. And then the same person emailed me on my business email. And I was like, who is this? Let me ask Google. Google, who is this lady? So it pops up that she is such and such editor or producer for Nickelodeon Studios. And I'm like, oh, let's answer this email. Hello, how are you? I got your email. What can I do for you? And she was like, I've been following your work. We love it. Da, 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 da. Can you make us some dolls for Black History Month? And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, Nick Jr., Black History Month is like in 4 weeks. Are y'all nuts?
Right.
Like, I cannot knock out dolls.
Right.
And she was like, I was like, possible.
Right.
What do you need?
Right.
How many do you need? And she was like, oh, we only need 3 of this person, and this person. But we'd love to meet with you and da-da-da-da-da and get the ball rolling. So I'm like, oh, yeah, let me think on this. And my brain was like, what is there to think about?
Right, what you thinking about?
These dolls. And so I respond back, yeah, sure, we can meet. So I go into the Zoom because she sends me the Zoom link like the next day. It was like, hey, the team's ready to meet. And I'm like, team? I thought it was just you and I having communication. And so she sends me a Zoom link and the screen loads and it's all these execs from Nickelodeon looking at me. And I'm like,
hello.
That was my face. Like, I was like, hey guys. around, they introduce themselves and they're like, hey, so this is what we would like from you. Da, 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 da. And contract, this is what I'm thinking. We need the dolls in 3 weeks. You send us your invoice. I said,
Oh my.
I said, what's your budget? She was like, oh, whatever your invoice is, say less, Nickelodeon.
Okay. Cause you Nickelodeon.
Say less. Okay. And so they were like, but we would love to see sketches before you start.
Mm-hmm.
In my head, I'm like, I don't sketch anything. Sketches? So I pull up Procreate on my iPad and I'm like, they want sketches. Okay. So I'm working. I mock up these sketches and I send them in. They send them back. Well, correct this. That's trademarked. I can't really use that. Don't want any issues. Do this. Oh, okay. Send us. Correct them. Send them back. They were like, that's perfect. Your invoice has been paid. Oh, okay. When I tell you I've never made dolls so fast in my life, I was up for at least 3 days one day, just working on base bodies and making sure I had the yarn and hitting up Joann's and Michael's. Thought I was going to go to Hobby Lobby. I don't shop at Hobby Lobby. I hate Hobby Lobby. And I thought I was going to have to break my personal rule and go to Hobby Lobby for something. And I was like, I refuse. Joann's needs to have this. And so I ended up finding it at Joann's. And I was like, let me finish these dolls. And they emailed me and like, hey, here's your FedEx label. Drop it off. We're going to overnight them to sew to the studios. And FedEx lost my damn package.
No.
FedEx lost the package for 3 days. It kept circling the studio. It was at one spot, it was another spot, it was here. And I was like, listen, I need y'all to find this package. I need you to find this package. And they finally find it and they deliver it. And the exec calls me and she goes, I've got your box. I haven't opened it yet. And in my head, I'm thinking, okay. She goes, I just want you to know I have it. I want you to stay on the phone with me while I open it. Okay. So of course, bubbling, my chest is pounding, I'm burning. I'm like, oh my God, she's going to hate them. And all I hear is, oh my God. Oh my God. And so she's come and look, the dolls are here. And I'm like, okay. And you just hear whispering, oh my God, I hate them. And they're like, okay, this is amazing. Thank you so much. And I'm like, that's it. Yeah, that's it. We'll tag you. Don't say anything. You can't say a word to anybody. And I'm like, do you know how hard it is to sit on this secret? I couldn't tell anybody. I told my husband, I was like, Nick Jr. wants dolls. And that was all that I could say. And so when they posted them that morning, they posted them February 15th. And when they finally posted them, my inbox blew up and all my friends were like, girl,
that's your doll. We know that's you.
Is that you? And I was like, yes, that's me. I made dolls for Nick Jr. And it boggles my mind because I'd had working with a big company at the very bottom of my bucket list. Like I put it there, didn't think anything of it. Cause imposter syndrome again.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. I'm not good enough to work with companies of that magnitude. And when they reached out, my brain was like,
now
you see, you got it. And so it's just kind of been up from there. Like, there are definitely business ebbs and flows all the time. But I've made more this year, surprisingly, than I've made in the last 3 years with my business. And so, a lot of times, family being family and family meaning well, especially coming from the South. My grandma always says, what you doing all day? You're playing with dolls all day, baby. You need to get a job. And I'm like, Granny, this is what I do. Like, this is my job. she doesn't understand, but she's supportive. My mother didn't understand for a very long time. She's like, girl, you have degrees. What are you doing? I'm like, Mama, this kind of ties in with my degree. I have degrees in psych. And I'm like, Mama, this kind of ties in with what I wanted to do. So she's finally coming around, but it's really hard for people to understand that at my big age, I make dolls. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. And my good friend, one of my sisters says to me, you keep job hunting and you keep getting rejected. There's a reason why, because this is what you're meant to do. You are doing what you should do. Because I swear, like, how it is. We had this conversation about kids being in college. My youngest is in college and I feel a certain way. And I'm just like, there's, money needs to be made because tuition needs to be paid, books need to be paid, cars need to be, maintained, household needs to be maintained. And every time I say I'm going to find a job, something big always comes back into my business. And it's just like the universe is saying, do you hear me? Do you hear me? And I'm just like, yeah, I hear you, but these bills are loud in my ear. They're real loud over here. So I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. And I never in a million years would have thought that this is what I would be doing. Ever. As this little dusty knock-kneed kid, well, I'm knock-kneed, just a dusty kid from Mississippi. Just a little dusty kid from Mississippi whose grandmother used to make her Raggedy Ann and Andy dolls. I never thought that this is what I would be doing with my life. Like, we all have plans for life. And I had my entire life mapped out at 18. And when I graduated from college, life was like, hey, got a couple plot twists for you. Just write them out. Write all of these plot twists out. You'll find your way. And everything keeps leading me back to some sort of creative outlet. Mm-hmm. Never would have imagined that I would be back here. Like, I'm a kid of the 80s. I used to pull the beads off my mama's purses and fashion them into other things and make Barbie doll clothes and taught myself how to embroider. And, I throw very horrible pottery on a very unstable wheel when I have the chance. Like, there's always something that leads me back to the creative arts. And fiber art seems to be kind of my thing. And I love where I am, even though some days, like I said, some days it's like, do I really want to make another doll? I don't want to work this. Like the dolls I just finished, I never want to make them again. But I know if they go over well, I will make them again and again and again until I'm just, I'm going to eventually have to say I'm not going to make these for a while. But they're definitely, this is where I'm meant to be. And I do feel like a large part of my purpose in this world is being able to show Black and brown girls and boys how they're represented, because I know how that feels growing up in the South and then moving up north. That was already just, it was a weird transition. I was twangy. Nobody could understand, like my accent was thick. And just, I remember the first day of school and nobody could understand me but the Nigerian girl, because our accent was heavy too. And so we would always talk and everybody would look at us like, what are y'all saying? And I remember third grade, was drawing or something in class, and the teacher, tells me to stop. You should, pay attention in class. And just the shock of moving up here. First off, I was kind of advanced for when we moved up here. When we moved up here, I got put back a grade, so I was bored as all get out. So I'm drawing and doodling and sketching and in class and bored out of my mind. And I do remember drawing like people. I was always drawing people and sending, my grandmother, hey, Granny, can you make me so and so and send it to me? Because that was my girl. She would always make me dolls. I was always coming back to dolls. She made me a Raggedy Ann and Andy doll. And I remember when I realized that they'd gotten lost in our move, and I called her and I was like, Granny, I can't find my dolls. I can't find my dolls. And she was like, you want me to make you another pair? No, because these smelled like you and it's not going to be the same. And like, she made me another pair and she sent them to me. And I held on to these dolls until they were threadbare. And then came Cabbage Patch dolls. And the craze of the 80s and the Cabbage Patch craze and not having a doll that was dark. I think the darkest Cabbage Patch that my mother could find at the time would probably be considered Latina now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like a if I were to give her a yarn, she'd probably be like Red Heart Cafe Latte color.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, you had her too.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I had her, and mine was a preemie, and she had a little tougher hair at the top, yarn hair at the top. Yep.
When the preemies came out, my mama got me a preemie because I was a preemie.
Yep.
And then I finally got a chocolate doll, a chocolate Cabbage Patch. Her name was Philomena. I love the heck out of this doll, and just remember thinking, like, oh, I can finally see myself in the stuff that I play with. And I think a lot of the times people don't realize how important that is for children, especially kids of color. My girls were never into dolls, but when people would buy them dolls, I would always ask, if you're going to buy her a doll, please make sure she's brown. Like they had white dolls, which was never an issue, but I would always insist, like, if you want to buy her a doll, that's fine. But please, if you can't find her, if it has to be this specific doll, try to find her in brown before you automatically gravitate towards a white doll.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when my first day at the artist market, I had, I'm standing in my booth and it was kind of like a beeline to the door. Like I could see people coming in and coming out. And I see this lady, she's coming in and she's looking dead in the eyes. And I'm like, oh, looking around, like, is she looking at me? And so she's looking at me and she's pointing. And I'm thinking, you just got here. We haven't interacted. What have I done? And so she's coming in and she's very determined to get to me. And so she goes, I've been looking for you. And I'm like, okay. She goes, I've got this kid and she needs a doll. So she whips her stroller around. And it's the prettiest little girl. She was like, my family we can't find her any dolls. Like we've looked everywhere. She goes, we adopted her last year and I just need her to have a doll. And I look down, she's so pretty and she's chocolate. She's got these big old eyes and this cute little afro. And then her mother realizes, I make custom dolls. And she says, you can make one with her skin tone. I said, absolutely. There's an ask in the chat. Okay. And so I'm sorry, I was looking for the chat. My Zoom is weird.
I think it's on the YouTube where they're chatting, but they want you to show some of your dolls.
Oh yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Finish your story first.
And so I make her this doll and her mother comes to pick her up and she's clutching her and she's like, oh, how many more of these can you make for her? She goes, if I find you, can you make her one every year? I sure can. And so I was at the artist market for 2 years. And every year she would come in for her birthday and for Christmas. And she'd say, can you make her a doll? Well, this is kind of how she's looking now. Can we change her hairstyle? And absolutely, sure. And they ended up moving, but her mom messaged me. She goes, I think it's time for a new doll. Once we're all settled, I'll let you know. I think they ended up moving out of the country though, so because I haven't heard from them in a while. But that's that memory always just makes me so happy. Just because I think it's more apparent now, but definitely not when I was growing up. Just how important those things are. Mm-hmm. It's really important to have that representation in the things that you play with.
Mhm.
You
Agreed.
got
I love that. Now show us these dolls, ladies. Show them, show them.
okay. My favorite doll. He's the only boy pattern. Nope, he's not the only boy pattern yet. Now, this is Lucas. He's got a little textured afro.
Look
His
at
outfit is actually an outfit that I saw from a little boy at the artist market. His was a hoodie though, and when you pulled it over, it had like monster teeth, and his pants had monster teeth on it that you could open and close, and it was really cute. This is Lucas. Lucas is a pattern that a doll that I made that I did not write down. And then somebody was like, oh, he's cute. Where's the pattern? I was like, no pattern for that. That was freehand. It was just something that was in my head because the original did not look like this. And they were like, well, he's cute. Where's the pattern? There's no pattern for Lucas. What are you talking about? So I ended up having to make it. And this cutie was the result. He's probably Asa, Lucas, and Quentin are the boy patterns that I have. Asa and Elise are my first patterns that I wrote. Very beginner friendly. I am obsessed with myths and, folklore and all that. This is my fairy.
Look at her ears. Oh my gosh. Look at her hair.
She's very, very sparkly. Very sparkly. I probably won't make many of these because in my head, I go overboard when I'm creating and I don't really think how things will translate into pattern form. Her hair takes forever. And so it did not translate well. When I was sent it out to testers, all of my testers were like, is there a shortcut for her hair? Because it's taken me 3 days. No, you got to do it the way I wrote it. Please and thank you. I probably won't make many of her. My favorite pattern is my lovey. It's called the Cuddle Cutie. It's a 16-point blanket with a ginormous head, bendable elbows. It's my favorite pattern of all time. It's probably my best-selling pattern as well. Works up in a day, if that.
I think that was the first pattern I ever bought of yours.
Yeah?
Yep.
And I've got my newest, is this one? Second newest. I decided to make little rag dolls.
Isn't that something? Back to what Granny was making you.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes.
So much.
Amazing.
And one that I'll probably never part with, so she's probably a forever studio sample. It's my cute little witch. She has a hat somewhere. It fell off. But yeah, she's probably a forever studio sample.
She is amazing. I love her hair.
That's another thing about making dolls as a Black doll maker, having to mimic hairstyles. Growing up, most little Black girls always rock Afro puffs and braids and beads. Give me 1 second. I will grab the doll that I actually put beads on. Did you see it, Davida?
I'm sure I have, but you're going to show everybody now.
I will show you just her. Can't show you the rest because she's a secret.
Oh no, you're frozen. You're
Huh?
frozen. You're frozen.
Am I?
Move down. Shake it up. There you go.
It's about to rain. I hear the thunder clouds from thunder rolling. But braids, I've never attempted to do that. It's a technique class from another doll maker.
So she needs to give you some kudos, because that was the present that I bought for myself for my birthday. I bought
Yeah.
the cornrow class.
Her
I
classes
sure
are
did.
her classes are amazing.
Yep, I bought the cornrow class because I saw your picture. I was like, that's right, I need to get that class. And I went and bought it for my birthday.
Yeah, it's so much easier than I thought. Because
Okay.
I kind of had it in my head, but I was like, why is my stuff so flat? This just doesn't look right. But I figured it out. Just being able to mimic different hairstyles, braids, beads, cornrows, afro puffs, which is just really just clover pom pom.
Mhm.
But I think it's really important when you are making dolls for Black and Brown children, especially cultural dolls, to be able to incorporate those things. I've made a doll for an East Indian couple, and I was very unsure as to how they wanted the doll's hair. And she sent me these really elaborate pictures, and I was like, I don't know if I can do that one. And so she was like, if you want, just leave it down, give her 2 braids, go into the back. That I could do. That was very simple. But the way she showed it to me, my brain was like, figure it out, figure it out. I want to do that eventually. But I try not to, unless it's requested, to do dolls from other cultures, just because, it's such a sensitive subject. I have one repeat customer who's Mexican. And so she'll message me and say, hey, can you duplicate this? Or, yeah, I can do that. Well, can you, do this traditional dress? I'm going to send you a bunch of pictures. Sure. But I do, I come to be a friend of a Polynesian doll maker, the only Polynesian doll maker I've ever met. Her dolls are so beautiful. And never, ever in my life would I say, hey, Leilani, let me make this doll, because they're gorgeous. They're so, so beautiful. Like the headgear and the outfits, and just like, I want to be like a doll maker for the people of all people, but I'm just a doll maker for the people. I try not to venture outside of my comfort zone. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. I hope that everyone has enjoyed this moment with Coletta. I believe her information has been shared into the chat. Thank you. Thank you. So make sure you're following her on all social platforms and all the good things. Coletta, thank you again for sharing your talent with us. We really appreciate it. Loved hearing so much more of your story, and can't wait to hang out with you again. Y'all go and get her patterns. Y'all can make dolls too. Go ahead and download the pattern.
Oh yeah. I've definitely had a lot of non-Black makers reach out. I'm like, hey, is it okay? Yeah, absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely. Have at it.
Well, we have another guest here, so we're gonna say good night to you, my friend, and talk to you very soon. Best of luck to you at the doll show. I know it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see the pictures that you share.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Good night,
Coletta,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coletta. This has been so good.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh my gosh. Devere, like every single guest you've brought on, it just, I know, I mean, you saw me. I'm just like bawling my eyes out back here.
Like this time, I'm like, good Lord, why am I crying?
Man.
I love to introduce, these people to an audience that would not necessarily be, available to them. So it's just important to me. Just like I know it's important to you for Edmonton, the shepherdess to get their love. I really want the crochet artists to get some love too. So thank you for this platform.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I keep thinking about like it's funny actually, like her name, A Touch of Blue. I keep thinking about one of the shops here in town is called Little Blue Fiber Studio. And she sells like all kinds of amazing things. But I was just thinking like one of the classes that I'm teaching right now at the City Arts Center is like amigurumi techniques, right? And one of the ladies who's coming to the class, she had gotten her supplies at Little Blue Fiber Studio, and she showed up with this gorgeous, gorgeous brown yarn. It was all wool, and this instead of like the polyfill stuff to stuff, we're making an elephant, but she'd gotten brown yarn. She wanted to make a brown elephant. And instead of polyfill, she got wool from Little Blue Fiber Studio, because Little Blue all does like natural wool stuff instead of the polyester and everything.
Mhm.
So anyways, I just like the whole time that Coletta was talking, I just kept thinking, man, how gorgeous would it be to like make a doll with like Coletta's Touch of Blue design from Little Blue Fiber Studios products.
Yes, that would be cool. That would
So,
definitely
I mean,
make the connect. Make the connect.
yeah. So, you know, the other thing just on this, because I know we have Shannon here, but Shannon's like part of my team. So I'm going to take a little bit of Shannon's time for a second. I actually I want to ask a question. This is just totally my like ignorant curiosity. On this like topic of the representation with dolls, because I live in such a predominantly white area of town, and you know, I know the representation was important, but when my middle daughter, she's 8 now, when she was little, you know, for I think it was like her second or third birthday, everyone was like, "Oh, we're giving Barbies," and she got all these blonde Barbies. And literally, there was a day, it was like 2 months after her birthday. She's playing with her Barbies, and of course, they're all naked by this time because you know how girls are. And she's got a black pen and she's drawing on her Barbies. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, mommy, they're all white and I want a black Barbie."
Mhm,
So I was
mhm.
like, "Okay, well, there's a better way of getting you a black Barbie." So we went to the store and she was so excited. She's like yelling to everyone because this is my completely extroverted child. She's telling everyone as we're going through the store, "But," and I was, okay, this is my like completely like white blindness, but I was appalled at the lack of colorful Barbies there. So I've been on a mission for my girls. I mean, obviously they're represented amongst the dolls, but I've been on a mission for my girls to have completely like representative dolls.
I love
And
that.
I wonder, and it's not like I'm anything special, but I just wonder, like not just for a kid to be able to see themselves, but for a kid to see the actual, just the world around them.
That's it right there. We need to allow our children to see the world around them. Even though, you know, you live in your predominantly white neighborhood and, you know, whatever, that's not representative of the world, right? The world has so many people in it, so that when you are just here, even in the Black community, if all you see is Black people and you never see any white people, Asian people, you know, whatever, you get blinded. You don't see anything else. So when you go into these different environments and you see these different people, you're shocked. Like it's a shock to your system. Like there's other people. Yes, there are other people in the world, you know? And as parents, I think that it's our responsibility to open our children up to the world, broaden their horizons, let them experience different things. You want to experience it in cuisine. You want to try the Chinese food. You want to eat the Mexican food. You want to, you know what I mean? today's Google Doodle was jollof rice, which is a Nigerian West African rice. And I was just like, this is amazing. This is the world we live in now, though, right? We need to do this even, with dolls, simple things as dolls. So that's one of my missions in life, is to, just introduce the world to, everything that the fiber arts world has available to us, and just share it out. So yeah, I'm glad that I love this comment that someone had wrote. She said, when I was growing up, my grandmother had a really good friend who was African American. All I wanted was a Black doll, and I never did have one. I am now 56, so may have to make myself one. Make your doll. You deserve it.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. And I love, I know who made that comment, and she's awesome. I don't think I've actually met her in real life. We've just corresponded. So I'm really looking forward to meeting her, because I know she's going to be at the Fiber Frolic. So
hey, this is good stuff. Good stuff.
So anyways, okay. So our next guest needs no introduction. No, actually, she totally does. So Shannon has just recently joined the team here with Edmonton Fiber Frolic, because up until this fall, I was a one-woman team trying to be the Wizard of Oz behind the scenes.
That's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. And with the show growing to what it has become, it was way too much work for one woman to do. And so Shannon has graciously stepped in to help me with getting this event, pulled together, and, getting all the details put into place. And I'm really beyond grateful. Shannon and Crystal, Crystal's not here this evening, but Crystal is helping out with volunteer coordination. And Crystal is from the Yarn Rebels. So a lot of local people probably know who or recognize the Yarn Rebels. But yeah, so Shannon, welcome, my friend.
Hello. Now, to be fair, you've been trying to hire me for a couple of years.
Yes. You're just a very busy woman.
I'm so excited to be involved. I'm totally hooked already. Hooked. On purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, Shannon, you and Davida have a lot in common, because you are a crocheter. You're learning how to knit, but you're totally a crocheter.
Oh yeah.
So
since I was a tiny child, I don't hardly even remember not crocheting. So yeah, my mom taught me when I was really young. I remember her teaching how to crochet, how to knit, how to cross stitch, and how to embroider when I was 6, probably. And I was frustrated with knitting. When you're 6, it's really, really hard to get consistent with tension at all. So I gravitated toward crochet a little more naturally. It was just a lot easier, I think, at a young age. And I got pretty good at it, at a young age. And I've been doing that for almost 40 years now. So so I'm pretty good at that now. I don't even do, I just do stuff on my own. Sometimes I follow patterns, or I'll, but for the most part, I just kind of wing it. But, and then, with the stitching arts, I learned, like I said, cross stitch and embroidery. So she sort of taught me, just basic, running stitch with embroidery, taught me how to cross stitch, counted cross stitch. So, and cross stitch kind of took off for me because it was very neat and ordered, and, made sense to me to do it, that way. And now I'm starting to get into embroidery because I'm tired of doing designs, and I want to do my own thing, and I want to be more freestyle with it. So I'm learning how to knit and taking the other path now, learning how to knit and embroider. So yeah, and Holly's been helping me. My tension's a lot better these days, but it's the dropping stitches and picking them back up again without having to frog my whole thing, my whole project. That by the way, Woolen Frog's name is very clever at one of our vendors. I thought that was awesome. So
I have been watching Sydney the whole time.
I know.
And I'm like, well, how does she make it look so daggone easy?
I know.
Real.
Yeah, I know. I've got my works. I'm surrounded by works in progress. We've got almost an hour to fill, so I thought I'd better like have stuff nearby just in case we run out of things to talk about. Although at this point, I don't see that happening. So, Sydney, what are you making?
So I have past me didn't think things through very well and decided to sign up for 2 test knits due on the same day at the end of the month. So this is a sweater. I also have a shawl due. So I'm like frantically knitting as much as I can, but
Oh, that's so pretty.
Oh, wow.
rounds, you can't see a whole lot, but it's going to be like a button up neck, but just like a half. So it's
Yeah, it's come together now, right?
Yeah, so it's joined.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You
It's
so
fitting up quick,
fancy.
thank God.
That's gorgeous.
Thanks.
Is it gonna be like a long sleeve or is it a
Yeah, it has like a balloon sleeve kind of, so they're nice and drapey. And I think it's more like a cropped length.
Very trendy.
Yes,
Mhm.
very trendy.
Like that sweater you were wearing last week, Holly, that was kind of fitted and had the bishop sleeves. It was so beautiful. You made that, right? You remember which one I'm talking about? No.
Like I have no idea what you're talking about, but okay.
Oh, yes, I do. Like
Yeah.
it's blue at the top, right? And
Yeah.
like yellow at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I made that one.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
I don't think I
I
told
just-
you that day, but I was admiring it all day. So
Yeah, no, I wasn't wearing it on the virtual. That's why I was like, what was I wearing? No, yeah, I guess I'll have to wear it on the virtual now. So
so people
can
know
see it.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So yeah, anyways. So yeah, I have had like crazy amount of details come together today. That was part of why I was like, hey, you want to hop on?
Yay.
Really fun.
Eats. Tell
and-
us eats.
I know that we were like on the phone putting together like, oh, let's talk about this, let's talk about that, but I didn't actually write down like the order that we should talk about anything. So
I was just trying to give you some stuff on the fly. I'm whatever, we can converse and see where the conversation takes us. So, why don't we start with talking about festival stuff? So it is a November festival, and of course we're getting into holiday season, and I'm sure a lot of people are going to be there thinking about gifts and things like that. And do people know about the plein air tables? Have you talked about that yet in this series? Like in the last throughout the festival? So we've set up the hall so that there's a very wide, like really, really wide aisle. And we've offered plein air tables, which means open air tables. So it's meant to be like outside in like a street market kind of a thing, right? Where there's sort of tables in the middle and people can move all around them and see things. So Holly's had this brilliant idea based on not totally your idea, but it decided to incorporate it into the festival based on an inspiring podcast that you listen to. So we've got this really wide aisle, and we have half a dozen vendors that have taken us up on these plein air tables. And so they're going to be in the center of this aisle, and it's kind of meant for, a place for people to sort of meet, when you go to a show, and not that there's anything wrong with this, of course, in the interest of business, you want to have as many booths in a space as possible, but you're going in, a pattern. People tend to pick one direction or the other, and you go back and forth between your aisles, and you try to hit all the vendors. And of course we have that set up as well, because that's the whole point, is going back and forth and wanting to hit all the vendors. But then we've got this really wide aisle, and we've got these tables set up throughout it. And I think the idea is to sort of wander around a little bit more in that area, rather than being, directed, kind of go back and forth, I think, as opposed to, being this
feeling like you're in a maze.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of being this regimented. And we chose white drape, for example. I think a lot of shows go with black. We chose white because we sort of wanted this more open, airy, light kind of an environment. And of course, white is a beautiful color for a holiday, festive type of a theme. So anyway, we're putting up Christmas trees is what I was getting at. It kind of went off, it got there the long way. So I'm the person, I've been collecting Christmas for 25 years now. And at this point we've got 4 Christmas trees for our house. Yeah, 4, which I could have sworn I had 5, but I have 4 Christmas trees right now. And by the time I'm 60, like my house already looks like Christmas exploded. Like it's going to be positively garish in another 20 years, which I can't wait. I remember going to a couple of houses, the one with my mom when I was a teen. And this woman, she spent 2 months setting up her house prior to Christmas. And she would have people over, once a week or something. She'd invite people over just for, tea and a cookie and, whatever, and show off her house. And I remember going there with my mom one night, and I think we wound up being the only people there. And I was so glad we went. It was beautiful. People that have like different themes in their house or different tree themes and things like that. And then I remember a friend of mine, probably about 15 years ago when I first moved to Edmonton, actually, no, maybe longer because I've been here for 20 years now, but she took me over to a surrogate auntie's house, and same thing. Like she had these beautiful trees throughout her home and things like that. And, one tree was all crystal ornaments and, had different themed trees, and it's just, I loved it. So yeah, I'm working on it. So I'm now up to 4 trees. So we have an Oilers tree, of course, because my husband has a sports man cave, and it's all, blue and copper. My son has to have his own tree because he's caught the bugs. So he's got a little tree for his room. And I've got a tree that I keep in my second living room that's all snowflakes. My grandmother crocheted. She made beautiful, beautiful tablecloths, with the thread. I've got a couple of them around somewhere. Maybe I'll have to pull those out sometime. But and she made Christmas ornaments and starched them. So I've got a handful of those from her, and I've picked that up. I've got a couple of books of snowflakes, and I've made hundreds of them now. So I have a whole tree that's just all snowflakes. And I wanted that to be a grove of trees eventually. I'd like to have an angel tree, a snowman tree, and a snowflake tree. So it's all, white and silver, kind of, 3 different skinny trees together kind of thing. I have pictures in my head.
So fun.
And then of course we have our main tree, which is, the ornaments that you pick up on vacation and special, mean something. The ones your kids make at preschool, and, the ones you buy, the ones I buy for my son for his future collection and things like that. So, but so I'm gathering up all my trees. I'm going to bring my 4 trees, and I'm going to I think I have enough snowflakes for 2 of them. And then Holly had a bag of scrap yarn. So we've got some scraps of some roving and some different yarns and bits and pieces. And I'm going to wrap them around styrofoam balls and make little balls of yarn and cram needles through them. And we're going to hang them off the big tree. And what was the other one? Oh, the white tree, my son's little white tree. I want to wire little bonbons to it so people can just go by and grab a Werther's or something off of a tree. So if anybody else has any, has a tree that they wouldn't mind setting up and some decorations that they're not terribly attached to, because, at least I can make more snowflakes, and I'm not too worried about styrofoam balls of yarn. But, if anyone out there wants to set up a tree and, has some things they want to share, that would be great. But I do have 4 that I'm bringing. So, and I'm keeping my eye out. I actually went to the Goodwill the other day, and I was scoping out their trees, but there wasn't any I wanted. So I'm going to go hit up a couple more Goodwills this week and see if I can get my hands on a couple of skinny trees. And so, because at least I can start my grove, right? If I've got the trees, then I have to make stuff for them. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I know I'll have at least 1 tree to bring in, and I'll probably have a second one to bring. So we'll have quite a selection of trees coming down the wide aisle for sure.
And you know what I was thinking? I was thinking we can do, sorry, it was because this might been in my head for the last week, but I haven't told you. We could even just do a really long crochet chain with I've got gold thread. I could just spend a night just making the longest chain ever, and we could just loop it around the tree a bunch of times. That would be pretty.
So pretty. Or not even with thread, just do it worsted weight. So it's nice and big and just.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So nice.
Maybe I'll take a look through. Actually, you know what? I could even make it a scrappy one and just do. I don't want to tie them off that many times, or that many times yet. I was going to say I'll look through the scraps here and see if there's enough for me to make something. Anyways,
probably aren't, because those are all hand spun.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, there's not a lot of yardage there. I'll
so
see what I got around. So, yeah.
Do you want me to share screen and show the floor plan?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I need to pull it up from
No, I have it here. I can
Oh,
share
you
it.
have it? You found it. Okay, you saw it. I did tell you I was going to upload it, and I did. Perfect. Good. I'm glad you
Yeah,
found
I
it.
have it here.
The floor
So,
plan. Yay!
yeah. So yeah, this is everyone's like first opportunity. If you're still here live, this is like everyone's first time, other than like Shannon and me. This is
Mhm.
everyone's first time seeing what it's gonna be like.
Yeah, so the part there that looks
No.
like the road with the yellow line down the center, those are the plein air tables. We've got our 6 by 10 booths on the right-hand side. We've got our workshops on the left-hand side. We've got a stage area set up back there. I was actually talking to our account manager at Expo today, and we're going to have a stage, and we were talking about the chairs and all that, and we're going to have, where it says Gathering Thread Social Lounge, we're going to have big 6-foot round tables with I think we're settled on 8 chairs per, and then we're gonna have some smaller chair tables. But the idea is, you know, when you go to one of these things and there's like 2 people sitting at a big table, and then there's 2 people sitting at a big table over there, and you know, everybody's scattered and nobody can find a place to sit because nobody wants to sit with anybody else, you know. Although, I mean, I'm always the one to be like, hey, can I pull up a chair, you know? But some people aren't. I'm much more outgoing in my old age than I was in my youth. But we're going to have hosts and that are encouraging people, you know, and I think we're going to do name tags that sort of identify what your art of choice is, you know, and you know, as an icebreaker. Oh, I see you're a knitter too, and you're crocheting right now, or you know, and oh, isn't that gorgeous? Can you watch my stuff while I go to the booth where you bought that? Or you know, like come all day, spend all day. This is not just like come and shop for 2 or 3 hours. This is bring your work in, you know, or bring your favorite crochet hook or your favorite set of needles and try out the you know, the beautiful yarn that you just bought, or you know, try to replicate something you saw, or you know, bring your project in a grocery bag and put it in the project bag that you buy from one of our really fabulously talented vendors, you know. So you know, and let's share what we're excited about. So speaking of excited about, the festival book guidebook, Holly, people, if you haven't seen it yet, you need to go to the website and look. Now it needs a couple little tweaks yet, because you know, none of it's there's always stuff that and that's not you, Holly. That's, I mean, for you to get it out as quickly as you did, it's close to 100 pages of content. 100 pages of content. There's a page dedicated to each vendor. There's pages dedicated to the workshops that actually have like live links to go and buy the tickets for the workshops. There's sign up for the newsletter, you know, a link to sign up for the newsletter. And the book itself is stunning. Like it would be a collector magazine if it was a printed item. Like it's just beautiful, and you really outdid yourself putting it together. So are we putting the map in the festival guidebook? Are we able to do that? Add it to it digitally?
Yes, I was just, yeah, Sydney was just asking. It's going to be put into the festival guidebook on Monday.
Perfect. Good.
So yeah, and we'll have, so that it's available, anyone, you know, attending, you can flip through the guidebook and you can see, like, this will be at the beginning of the guidebook, so it'll be easy to
Perfect.
find right at the beginning.
Excellent.
And yeah, there was something that I was going to say, like with the gathering threads, like you were saying, it'll have that social aspect so that you can put a name tag on, people know, and you can identify yourself by the color that you write your name in, what craft you do. But there's also so much happening that, like, it's a large enough space that you can just kind of sit and have a coffee, have something to eat, and, you know, do your thing. But if you want to participate in the activities that are happening in the Gathering Thread Social Lounge, there's going to be so much happening as well. We're going to have book signings by Alexandra Stratt-Cotter, who she's on the map here as Florals and Floss. So she's just releasing a book. In fact, her book isn't officially released until after the Fiber Frolic, but she's bringing advanced copies to the Fiber Frolic. And so she's going to be doing a book signing at the Fiber Frolic of The Embroidered Closet. And Lee Sartori, who wrote Harry Potter Crochet. That's like the big one that kind of made her famous, but she's written others like Textured Crochet, and I think she wrote one about Tunisian crochet. But she's coming out to teach several of our workshops. She's teaching all of our crochet workshops for the weekend. And so she will be doing a book signing as well, if people want to come and to meet her. And of course, the photo booth is there. So if people want to do pictures, if they've made things that Leah's designed or any, and that's the other thing too. We will also have some designers just dropping into the social lounge, so that if you've made things by the designers, like that'll be your chance to like
That's
get a picture with
fantastic,
the
yeah.
designer.
Oh, well, now I'm going to have to make something by Lee in the next 6 days.
Yeah. So, and then, yeah, there's also, for all the knitters out there who've been making the Stephen West Twist and Turns MCAL, there's going to be, like a whole celebration of that. And, yeah, Crystal was talking about like putting together like a prize draw for people who like post their progress on it, and they'll do like a random draw of who's, I don't know. She's putting together all kinds of social fun and game stuff to do at the Gathering Threads Lounge. So it's going to be so much fun. I was talking with someone because he was having a hard time with the online registration. So he was like, I need to get into the workshops I want to get into because I don't want them to fill up. He's like, I don't want to wait and try to just buy at the box office. So he was smart about it. And, you know, he was in touch with me. I helped him get his tickets and everything. And he was like, okay, I just want to make sure. He's like, I'm very much an introvert, but yeah, I want to make sure I have time to be able to like go and sit in the Gathering Threads Lounge, just in case they're doing something that maybe I want to hang out and do.
I guess we should put together a schedule of events, hey? Or do we have
It is
one?
actually on the website.
Oh, is it? Oh, good. Good.
Yeah. So if
lounge?
you go to that main page, like if you click the itinerary on the homepage,
Mhm.
or if you click the banner at the top, it'll take you to the page that's for the Fall Expo Center tickets.
Mhm.
And that has links to all the different aspects of the event, except the guilds. I have not been able to add the guilds to the
Well,
page
we
yet.
just finalized participation on those. So.
Yeah. So, but there, from that page, there's a link to a page about the Gathering Thread Social Lounge,
Good.
and there's a graphic on there with the schedule.
Perfect.
So that you can see
I kind of went
exactly
through it
what's
quickly.
happening.
I think I saw the link that our vendors have to, you know, the various things that are available to them while they're there. So I've seen it on that, but I know that one's not like a publicly available thing. So
Yeah. No, it's on the website. You just have to click through a few places to find it.
Oh.
And that reminds me, that's another thing that needs to be added to the guidebook.
We should tell folks a little bit about Kat, because I think she's going to be appearing at some point this week for the virtual festival. So Holly, first of all, I thought you knew Kat when you were like, hey, let's go meet this gal. So like Holly said, I only really got hooked up with this whole thing. It's been about 3 weeks now or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And well, like I said, I mean, I've been, you know, aware of it. I was there a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, with, you know, helping with some stuff at the Italian Cultural Center one. But she was like, yeah, we got to go, you know, I'd like to get some food and beverage vendors in, you know, to have some, you know, some really great, you know, things for people to snack on. Because, you know, if you're going to ask people to come and spend the whole day, I mean, it's 7 hours on, you know, 7 hours on, what have we got? 7 hours on Saturday and 5 hours on Sunday. You know, you got to have a snack for them. And, you know, it can be a bit of a pain in the butt to leave an event and trek the length of the convention center and back again. And I mean, if there's lots of things available down there, though, if you need a slice of pizza, you know where to go. But, you know, but of course it was a little bit late to try and get some people in. So, but we went and met Kat, and Kat has a passion for coffee. Like we have a passion for textile arts. And it was really cool talking to her. And, you know, when you talk to somebody like we all do, that talk about something they love that they're doing, and they're so invested in it personally. So I believe she has a partnership. Her and her sibling own, her sister own a coffee farm in
Guatemala.
Thank you. I'm running through it in my head. I'm like, nope, that's not right. Nope, that's not right. And I know it's Central America. Yeah, so her and her sister own a farm in Guatemala, and they have basically, you know, employ a farmer, but he lives on the land, and they, you know, pay him well and facilitate him. And she was talking about all the facets of that. I won't try to repeat what she said because of course she's the expert on her subject. And there's, I mean, yeah, you could easily fill an hour talking to Kat about everything that she does. But the bottom line is her coffee is outstanding, like really, really outstanding. It is. I used to be a cream and sugar gal, and then I gave up sugar, and, you know, I still have to have my cream, but you know, when you have a really great coffee that doesn't need to have anything in it, that's Kat's coffee. Like, it is really, really outstanding. And she's, you know, she knows all the intricacies of exactly how to brew it. And yeah, so make sure you stop by and see her. And make sure you keep an eye on the virtual festival schedule and watch, because you'll learn a lot. I mean, even just sitting with her, we were there for what, 20 minutes, half an hour. I mean, I learned a lot about coffee just sitting there talking to her briefly, you know, so.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Okay. I stopped sharing screen there because I think that's probably enough for now. It's nice to see a graphic, but it's good to see faces.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, because we can all see each other's faces on the Zoom meeting, right? But yeah, I forget that everybody's staring at the map, listening to us talk.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I am really cognizant that it's Friday night and it's 8:40 here, but it is like 10:40 in New York.
Oh my goodness.
So, Davida, my friend, you're probably fading fast.
I'm fading so fast. I'm like trying to eat pretzels. I'm so hungry. I didn't eat dinner. Just not your problem. I have to hop off tonight, but I'll see you all tomorrow. Looking forward to some more fun conversations. So nice to meet you, Shannon.
Nice to meet you as well.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Take care.
Nice to meet her. So, yeah. I'm very excited to have Kat. I know Kat's going to join us on the virtual festival at some point. I just have to pin down a time with her. We actually have very, very exciting guests joining us. I haven't fully updated the schedule online just because it's been so crazy trying to get so many details taken care of last minute here. But this next week over the course of the virtual festival is going to be so fun, meeting all of the guests that are booking in. It's just been a little bit of a shuffle back and forth because we've had people being like, oh my gosh, I'm sick, I can't join you, which was what happened tonight. We were going to have Carolyn Sommerfeld on, one of our presenting sponsors, and she was going to talk. It was going to be awesome. And she's like, actually, no, I can't join you tonight. So, you know, that was part of where I was like, you know what? Let's just show everybody the festival guidebook map. It's going to be awesome.
Well, so, and then ironically, I'm here because I'm sick. I don't know when the last time I had a Friday night off. I work as a server, so I'm should be at work right now, and hopefully they don't think I was faking it, because this was a last minute, like, oh, I guess it's a good thing I called in sick, because you can hear my voice, right? I should not be serving people food and beverages like this. So I really truly am sick if anybody from work sees this. Yeah.
Oh man, I know. Well, but yeah, we had this tomorrow. We have River City Yarns. I believe I don't have it in front of me, but we have River City Yarns. I'm like 99% sure it's River City Yarns tomorrow. And
I got the schedule.
Really, you do have it up there? Okay. Well, Sydney, you're the brains then. Tell us who's on tomorrow.
Diane Brown with Woolly Time Yarns at 1 Mountain Time. Pamela Stark with CMO of Furls. Katie Pish, Atelier Nekazuki.
Yes.
Michelle Porter with Fondle Patterns, and Cynthia Hyslop of River City Yarns.
Right. Okay. They were on my brain because like the last email that I checked before I hopped on here was from River City Yarns confirming details for tomorrow. That's what I was like, I know River City's coming tomorrow. Oh, kitty.
Oh, look who's in my lap. He crawled in as soon as I sat down.
Oh.
World's tiniest couch potato lapdog.
Aw.
Yeah. And I just
Well,
up. He's not very happy about it.
well, I'm really excited for tomorrow. Like Woolly Time Yarns is like a brand new, one of the things I love with doing the Edmonton Fiber Frolic is, we're growing so fast. And so it's really fun. Like tomorrow is such a great example, actually, with the virtual festival schedule of exactly how fast we're growing, how fun it is. And I just hope everyone kind of understands like how crazy it is, because we have Woolly Time Yarns who, when she applied, she had barely anything to show me. She didn't even have a logo yet. And so I was like, when I actually called her and was like, so do you think you'll be able to be ready? Because like the Fiber Frolic is gonna be a bigger show in November than anything you've probably been to. And she was like, no, I will be. She was like, give me a chance. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Because I needed someone to take that chance on me when I was first starting out as a dyer. And I was so grateful when someone finally did, because I applied to show after show after show, and I couldn't get into anything except stuff that was kind of a waste of my time and energy to be there, because it was the wrong place. And it was just like they were accepting me because it was $50 in their pocket and they didn't care. And so it was really important to me when I took over the Fiber Frolic that we were a space where the new person could have a chance. And so I was like, okay, let's do it. And watching the way she's pulled things together since she put in her application, like way back at the early bird, has been phenomenal. And I'm so excited for her trunk show. So we have that. And then we have like Pamela Stark with furls. So I love it because like we're growing fast enough that we have the ability now to like have amazing people with large businesses willing to come and attend our events and participate and bring their amazing products. And we can also have space for the dyer that's first getting started and just really need someone to take a chance on them. And I hope that we always have that magic. I really, really do. That to me is what is special about these kind of festivals.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
So, yeah. Anyways, that's not all I have for tonight. We're early, but Sydney, unless there's stuff in the comments that we need to talk about, I think we could probably just sign off early. It's Friday night. Everybody go have some wine and enjoy Friday night.
Beautiful. Anything happening in the comments? I had them up too. I was looking.
Okay. This is the crazy thing being on the Zoom. I can't really see the comments. So
Yeah.
Unless you bring them. Yeah. Oh, Sydney, you're muted. I can't.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
Muted, right? Colette's been in there talking about her patterns, and there's been
okay, good
purchasing and excitement. It's really great. Susanna came in not that long ago. Hi, Susanna. But yeah, no, it's been good.
Okay.
We don't have any outstanding questions, so
okay, good. I'm glad Coletta was in there talking it, because her patterns are so amazing. I was so inspired by her talking. She was only scheduled for half an hour originally, and because of everything that had to shuffle, I messaged her and was like, hey, do you want to just talk for an hour? She was like, sure. And I'm so glad that she was willing to talk for an hour, because that was so good. So anyways, okay, guys, I think we're done for this evening. Signing off a little bit early. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I have really enjoyed it. I hope you have too. And we'll see you tomorrow. Now, remember, tomorrow it's the weekend, so we're doing it in the afternoon. It will not be 7 in the evening. It will be starting at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So 1 o'clock Mountain Time. So it'll be like 3 o'clock Eastern Time. If you're tuning in from the East, it'll be at noon if you're in Pacific Time. So yeah, different time. I thought we'd do it earlier because it's the weekend. Spend the afternoon with us, put it on YouTube, set it, while you're doing your thing. Let us keep you company. So
Yay.
okay, guys, talk to you later.